He was criticized first when he did African-American outreach before largely white audiences. Now Democrats are saying after this event yesterday, too little, too late, nice try.
Well, I mean, I think it is kind of late for anybody to be doing this sort of thing. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at the images that came out of that day, I think it probably couldn't have gone better for Trump. I mean, he read the things he was supposed to read. He held a baby. He swayed. They prayed over him. I mean, that's what's supposed to happen when you go do that sort of thing. The problem is that African-American voters will, I think, by and large, I mean, there are always some, but by and large, they will have a hard time sort of forgetting the past, forgetting the recent past and the distant past, including some of the things this very year when Donald Trump seemed to not know anything about the KKK. I mean, these are things that are very visceral for this community. They are willing to give people a chance, but I think that 2 months before the election is quite late.
And I think the community is going to hear a lot of that on the radio and on television from the Clinton campaign. My biggest question is the turnout in numbers, whether there's intensity for her, and you get the turnout in numbers in the first post-Obama presidential election. But you mentioned this, the hill is pretty steep. Let's look at these numbers. And all the polls show this, but a USA Today Suffolk poll this past week among black voters, Clinton 92, Trump 4. I mean, that's below Mitt Romney territory. That's weak. And among voters, they asked the question, is Donald Trump racist? 83% of African Americans, 61% of Hispanics, and 37% of whites say Donald Trump is racist. This is part of why he's doing this, though, right? To convince not just the African American community or the Latino community, hey, I'm not, you know, I think he even said at a meeting in Philadelphia, I'm not a bigot. Is it about increasing his African American support, or is it, as many think, an effort to try to tell white suburbanites, hey, I'm trying?
I think exactly that it's both, right? When you talk to Donald Trump, he does truly believe that he should be able to win over African-American voters, that he should be able to win over Hispanic voters. When he's in those rooms and talking to those people, he truly believes they should be supporting him. But I think there is that sort of second beyond the room audience, which is perhaps more important. And again, it's the white suburbanites. It's other people who, as Sarah was saying before, they want to vote for Trump. They even maybe like some of his policies, but they just want to hear that compassion and have a sense that, again, they're not supporting someone they view as racist or a bigot. They're supporting someone they can be proud of. And that's also who he is talking to.
Is it, I guess, Dan, what's the calculation in the sense that if you're doing the math, what is Donald Trump looking for with this now, this late in the game?
Well, I think two things, John. Obviously, he's trying to increase even marginally his support in the African-American community, and he's trying to increase his support, particularly among college-educated whites. But, you know, I have a slightly different view of this, or I look at it in some other angle, which is Donald Trump is going through a series of experiences as a candidate for president that he's never done before. And one of the things that we all know from watching candidates over the years is that campaigns change them even as they are trying to change voters' minds. And you have to wonder the combination of his trip to Mexico and the trip to the black church, in which he put himself in a totally different kind of position, a much more humble position. He was interacting with people he normally doesn't interact with. How is that, if in any way, changing him, both as a politician and as a human being?
It's a great question. And as Abby noted, part of the issue here, Sarah, is he's up against his own history. Some things he has said in this campaign, and for a lot of African Americans, it was pretty defining when in 2011, when Donald Trump was thinking about running for president, he became chief cheerleader for the birther movement, a group of people who were saying, even as President Obama was running for re-election, he had been president, never mind what happened in 2007 and 2008, he had already been president, and there were still those out there saying he was born in Kenya, he's ineligible, and Donald Trump took the charge.
Barack Obama should end this, and he should provide the public with a birth certificate. And if he doesn't do it, he's doing a tremendous disservice to the public.
We'll have to see what, you know, perhaps it's going to say Hawaii. Perhaps it's going to say Kenya.
There's something going on. Look, there's something going on. And the words are not often okay.
What does that mean, there's something going on?
There's just bad feeling, and a lot of bad feeling about him.
Now, that there's something going on, that's in this campaign. Whenever Obama comes up or when there are terrorist attacks, he says Obama's not tough enough against radical Islamic terrorism, and he gets into there's something going on, the insinuation being Obama's soft on Muslim terrorists for what reason, I don't know. Can you overcome that history?
that's part of the reason, though, why it's so stunning that it took his campaign this long to realize this is going to be a problem and it's going to be something that you should be combating. I mean, when I was talking to people in the civil rights community this week, they were saying, why didn't Donald Trump go to the NAACP convention? Why has he rejected multiple outreach efforts by the National Urban League? When you have this history, you should realize going into it that it's going to be a problem and that you're going to need to reach out to the minority community, and you're going to have to start early to make those inroads. And that seems to be something that really caught Donald Trump and his campaign flat-footed. I think he legitimately believed going into the general election fight that he would do better among these groups because of his business record, because, and you hear him say this, he has employed minorities in the past and has a history of doing that, and he really felt like that was going to be something that he could hold up that would be enough to help him with these communities, and it really hasn't.